I love you, a bushel and a peck. You bet your pretty neck I do. Doodle doodle
I'll ask you a few
doodle.
questions so that we get some of these stories recorded.
All right.
Um,
No hard questions.
okay. There's no mathematical questions in here.
Oh, well, I'm okay then.
You were born in 1925.
At Elk City, Oklahoma. And I lived 5 years at Elk City, and then we moved to the farm. Grandma Hart inherited a bunch of farms, a bunch of land.
Yeah.
She gave one farm to my dad and another farm to Aunt Ruth, and we moved on adjoining farms. The two families were always real close. And they thought they were all brothers and sisters.
Well, brothers married sisters. Your dad and his brother married sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the two families were always close, even in later years.
So you grew
But
up.
I grew up on a cotton farm, and I picked cotton. As a teenager, that was my only way of earning money.
Yeah. You grew up on the farm all the way through high school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
But you had you didn't do the farm work normally.
no, Mama was not well. She was not a very strong person. So I did a lot of Mama's work in the house.
And you had specific duties, I think.
I helped with everything in the house.
Okay.
I did cooking and cleaning.
Didn't you bake all the bread? Didn't you
Yeah,
bake
I
a lot
baked bread. Yeah, baked bread was my responsibility.
Yeah.
So I made homemade bread regularly.
Yeah.
And we liked to go to Grandma Hart's in town because she had store-bought bread and bologna. We never had that. We always had homemade bread and steak.
Yeah.
So we suffered. We had a heater stove in the center of the living room, wood stove. And it fell over. I was rocking Shirley, the stove, but the tea kettle of boiling water fell over on us. I have a scar here, as Shirley's legs and arms were burned badly from that water. That was bad. The doctor came from town. He drove out and took care of her, but that was Shirley got a bad start there.
Yeah. Now that stove, it was wood fired. You
Yeah.
had it both for heating and cooking. Is that
No,
right?
that was a heating stove in the living room. In the kitchen, we had a cook stove that was
Wood-burning
also
cook
wood
stove.
burning.
Okay, two stoves. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
No, we had the plumbing. We had, you had 3 rooms and a path, they called it. A path to the outdoor bathroom.
Now, there will be some people under a certain age who are not sure what an outhouse is, but it's a little stick-built bathroom outside that doesn't flush. It's basically a hole in the ground with a toilet seat on top of it.
Uh-huh.
So you,
And when Roosevelt was president, he built these outhouses all over. And my dad was such a radical Republican, he called those Roosevelt monuments.
I remember, Grandma, you telling me a story. I think it was about great-grandma when she was a little kid, and they came over in the covered wagons. And her parents put the canvas over the wagons when they came through one of the big balloons.
Yeah,
And they were peeking through the...
but they peeked out.
What do you remember of that story?
Well, that was Grandma they didn't want them to see any of the wicked things there, but they peeked out and looked anyhow and saw all the wicked things.
So they were in a covered wagon, going
Was
through
that,
the town. It seemed like I thought it was when they came through Dallas. Would that
Or
have
Wichita
been?
Falls.
Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they traveled by covered wagon. Your mother with her parents. Great grandpa and great grandma Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Grandpa Cochran was in the Rough Riders with Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
And when he told the Lord, over there, if you get me back alive, I'll serve you. And so when he came back, he went to Bible college and
He did
became a
exactly-
preacher.
Yeah.
And he was my pastor when I was a child. And that was real special.
He was your
Had my grandpa for a pastor.
grandfather was your Willard Cochran. Your grandfather was your pastor when you were a child.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he and his father were in Santa Fe, and they saw these placards all over town put up by Teddy Roosevelt saying, "Come join me in the Rough Riders and help us go liberate Cuba from Spain."
And they just signed up and left.
Right then and there.
And they sent word, told the people to go tell their wives where they'd gone.
Let our wives know we joined Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders and we're going to the war in Cuba. We'll write them.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't Grandpa named after Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah,
Your
that wasn't his name. They just changed it.
Oh, that wasn't your dad's name?
His name was James, I think.
John.
John.
Yeah.
And
John.
they just changed it.
And they just changed it.
His father,
Theodore
who was the
Roosevelt.
Rough Rider, said, "If I buy you a horse, will you change your name from John to Theodore?"
Mm-hmm. Theodore Roosevelt.
Sure, give me the horse. Yeah.
He won't. Good way to get a horse.
Yeah, there's a lot of rich history there with
Uh,
his experience with the Rough Riders, and then he became a kind of a circuit riding preacher in what was at that time called Oklahoma Territory. Right?
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
And then pastored for many years.
mhm.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandma, do you remember going to the church on Southmore where you were a Sunday school teacher?
Yeah.
Southmore
Church of God.
Church of God.
Uh-huh.
And how me and Stacy used to run through the halls as you were trying to set up the classroom. And
Yeah.
would play hide and go seek from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that church.
Yeah.
A lot of good memories there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the church I grew up in.
Yeah,
Right.
we spent a lot of. That's the church I feel like I grew up in. Was
Yeah.
Southmore Church of God.
Yeah, my granddaddy Hart came to visit, but I was on the driveway playing, and granddaddy Hart didn't know that,
Right.
and he backed right over me, and I was just mad because all this noise over my head, and the neighbor was just dying, trying to stop that car from running over me.
We're glad that it cleared.
It cleared.
Yeah.
We always argued about which one was richer, my dad or Ted or Uncle Tom.
They were
And
brothers.
they were brothers.
Yeah.
But I knew that my dad was richer because I remembered Uncle Tom borrowing $10 from him once. They were buying something and Uncle Tom didn't have any money in his pocket, and he borrowed 10 from my dad, so that my dad was richer.
That was proof positive.
I can't remember anyhow. One of them was going to shoot the horse, and I said, "Don't do that, because someone's fixing to shoot the tractor." And so don't shoot either one of them.
You need one or the other operational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime there was something to be celebrated or we were grieving, either way, we made fudge. We all made fudge and we all ate fudge. That was our way of grieving or celebrating.
So for the most difficult of occasions and the best of occasions, it was fudge.
That's right. I didn't do so well on cotton picking, but that sack was heavy, the strap on your shoulder. And the sack could weigh 50 pounds by the time you got to the end of the cotton row.
Or more, yeah.
That's why the shoulder's down.
Yeah. So you just had a short career. Did you try it for the whole summer to earn some money for school or something?
Well, when I was a teenager, that was the only way I had to earn money.
Teenager, yeah. But Uncle TR and Uncle Willard, one of them had a comment for the other one. One of them had picked cotton by hand, and the other one was thinking about doing it. So the other one gave him a bit of advice. Remember that?
Oh.
He said, "Don't pick cotton."
Yeah, he said, you'll just get tarred.
Don't pick cotton, you'll just get tarred. Sarah and I have used that expression many times since I heard that story. Get ready to do something and say, no, let's not do it. We'll just get tarred. So that's come in real handy for us.
Jack looked at a lot of things that way.
Yeah, I can hear him saying that.
I worked at the Army Air Base in Garden City, Kansas 1 year.
Doing clerical work? What?
Clerical work.
Yeah. You were pretty good on the typewriter.
Yeah, I was fine. My handwriting was so terrible that I learned to type real soon. And I typed everything because you couldn't read my handwriting.
Well, you got that honestly from your mother,
Yes.
and I got it honestly from you.
Yeah, we're all honest.
My second grade teacher tried to teach me to write, and at the end of the school year, she said, "Paul, just do the best you can." Third generation.
No, as from a little kid, I planned to go to college.
Right.
Because my Aunt Pat went to college, and I really liked Aunt Pat. I thought that was the thing to do. Yeah. So I always planned to go to college.
Always wanted to, yeah. But then
And
you made a decision to do it.
I worked at the Army Air Base, and the pastor there and his wife were taking a church in Wenatchee, Washington, and that's just next door to Portland. And they said I could ride out with them. So I rode out with them, and I found out what bus to take to get to Portland. And then at Portland, they told me where to get off for the college. Only I missed that part and went at the end of the line, and the bus driver took me in his car back to the college. And I set my suitcase down and told them I want to go to school here.
That was the
And
first. That was the first they knew you were going to.
That was the first they knew anything about me. But I went 5 years and got 2 degrees.
You got 2 degrees there, and then you came back to Weatherford, Oklahoma, and
I got a degree there.
a third bachelor's degree.
Yeah, but they're all bachelor degrees.
You got 3 bachelor degrees.
Yeah.
Do you remember what each of those 3 degrees were?
Well, a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Theology.
Okay. One of them was not a Christian education major.
One was a Christian education major, and one was a elementary education. And I found out that didn't pay enough money then. Now, there are careers in that now that would pay enough, but at that time, that wasn't paying enough to support me and 2 boys.
There was one kid, he was giving you a pretty hard time, and he said something, wait till my mom gets here, and what happened?
And his mom came, and we explained the situation to her, and she said, do you have a spanking place here? And they said, yes, down at the principal's office. And she told her son, come with me, and I will show you what happens when I have to come to school. And she said, bend over. She gave him 3 whacks. And that took care of that.
And there was another special student named Jay. He had to be one of the first black students in the Pasadena school system.
And he told me one day, he said, Miss Spasic, when I got in the swimming pool, all the white kids got out. I said, Jay, they thought your color would fade and get on them, and they don't know any better. You just have to ignore it. He laughed. And I watched him through that day ever so often. He'd sit there and he'd start laughing. He'd remember that.
That helped get him
But
through
Jay
that.
graduated from Anderson College here and came to see me after I moved up here.
Yeah.
He brought his wife, and
He's kept in touch with you even now as an adult with wife and kids.
and he
he's-
always introduced me as his first grade teacher.
Yeah. And he still remembers how strategic you were in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's just one story of kids who you really were a strategic help to in the first grade.
I remember some first Christmases, Daddy cutting a tree down. He'd go down the creek and cut down, what kind of a tree was it? It looked kind of like a Christmas tree. Fir.
Now, are you talking about when you were a kid or when these grandkids
When
were
I was a
kids?
kid.
Okay.
One Christmas when I was a little kid, Grandma Hart dressed up like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And she came and did her ho-ho and gave out gifts. And I kept thinking, those sure looks like Grandma's eyes. But it can't be, because Santa Claus is a man.
Right.
And I was all mixed up. Aldobri was a Yugoslav, a Serb. And if you'll remember, the Serbs started the 2 world wars.
At least the
Dobry
first one.
fitted that category just fine. And Dobry always said he had a strong accent. And he said, if you don't understand me, that's your problem. I know what I said. But Dobry loved family. Family was very important to him. And he worked hard, was a wonderful finish carpenter. Anything. He built me a desk in the living room. I built my kitchen cabinets, and I wanted them to have glass windows. And, he just would build it. He was as particular as I was. And he did beautiful carpenter work.
Was he a pretty safe driver?
Oh, it was kind of, it was exciting.
Yeah.
You never knew what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And missed his exit on the freeway and backed up
On the freeway.
on the freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot of praying.
Oh, hey, a lot of squeezing his leg.
That's
Oh,
right.
Remember when Nenad came and Mama, when Nenad came in and we had to rent a car and I had to drive to do all the sightseeing and to get to y'all's house?
Yes.
We was going down the freeway and Daddy couldn't handle it. And he walked, and I'm driving and concentrating, and Mama's trying to help me, and Dad's trying to tell me, and Nenad's back there going, oh, this is confusing, this is a lot of excitement, He realized how Daddy really was high-strung, and I'm driving, and I thought I was doing good, and Daddy just whops me. He just reached over and hit what scared me. So reflex, I hit him back. You know, my arm just flew back and I got him. And he goes, "You pull this car over, I'll slap you." You know, hit me. And I said, "Dad, you just hit me. I'm driving." And this was going on and Mother's going, "The road, the road." And Nenad's back there going, "Well, this is different."
Yeah, she's, for whoever doesn't know, Nenad was Dad's great nephew, I believe. And he came from Serbia to visit, and you and him had a great relationship.
Yes, Nenad was just a wonderful son to adopt.
He's one fine young man.
He still calls me on my birthday and every Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, he thought of Dad like a dad.
Yes, he looked at Dad like his dad. And
I had such wonderful grandparents that I thought I couldn't wait to become a grandparent. I
Yeah.
just thought that would be the most wonderful thing,
yeah,
and it is.
yeah. You knew you could play a strategic part in their lives, and you did. That's the way it's supposed to be with grandparents.
On Christmas morning, we always had a special Christmas breakfast. We cooked a
Yeah.
special breakfast, and then I don't remember we did gifts.
I think you do some kind of little routine. Girls, you ladies, you remember?
Grandpa used to play Santa
Well,
and thought we wouldn't recognize.
yeah, of course, Dad played Santa also and thought he'd get away with it in spite of his
Yeah,
Serbian accent.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, he couldn't even ho-ho without sounding like a Serb.
Right, right. So there was that aspect. Yeah, but I think
He said next time, said they all knew who I was. He said, next time I'm not going to wear my glasses. Then he thought they wouldn't know.
yeah, that'll do it.
Our stockings on the fireplace used to be a big deal.
I think you made stockings for the grandkids at Christmas
Yes.
time. And you'd put things in it that they liked.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got candy and little toys. Yes, I love my grandkids. That was really special.
I think they all learned how to play checkers at your house, maybe.
What?
I think they all learned how to play checkers at your house, probably.
Yes, and I have checkers down there if anybody wants to play.
Grandma, I got tired of you beating me.
Stacy got tired of you beating her at checkers.
We played checkers because that was the only thing I could play well at all.
I
Dominoes.
think that's what was behind it. That's the only game you could play.
Dominoes. Mama played dominoes.
I can't remember the rules, so
Maybe the other game might have been dominoes.
Connect
yeah.
Four.
But what mostly we built trains or towers with dominoes. We'd see how high we could build
Yeah.
a tower
And
with
And-
dominoes.
Deborah and Stacy are saying you played Connect Four also.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever that is.
Yeah. I don't know what they.
Well, and Carl and Kurt were there. Maybe not as often because a little further away, but of course Ryan and Robert were there, and you had a great time with all your grandkids.
Yeah, I thought grandkids were just wonderful.
I'm trying to remember what color Cody's hair was.
Red.
Quite red.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it still is or not.
Oh, yes.
But evidently it still is. Any special memory about Cody come to mind?
Cody was always on the move. Oh, I remember once we were sitting in the backyard. Well, you remember we had the picnic table and the benches on the side?
Yes.
And Cody was climbing all over, and Grandpa had laid his hammer down, And Cody picked it up and hit Grandpa in the head. And Grandpa disarmed him. And he was real careful about where he laid his hammer down after that.
Cody liked to play Travel. Your game Travel. You remember that game, the card game Travel?
Yeah,
Cody,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Cody liked to travel.
I've got travel down there.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Brittany? Let's see, what color was Brittany's hair?
Red.
Grandma, remember the metal toy box that you had in the sewing room? The green one? Yeah, Grandpa would empty the toys out and put Garrett, Cody and Brittany in that so they wouldn't move around so much.
He had it all figured out how to keep them confined.
Grandma would be trying to cook and Grandpa would just stuff them in the toy box.
Deborah, do you wear cowboy boots to this day? Cowgirl boots?
Not as much, no more.
After having been confined to one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
puts a damper in it.
We're trying to count up how many great-grandchildren you have now.
I don't know.
I think.
Well, we're just making this recording right at the end of a trip that Gina and both her girls and Garrett came up, and it's been a good visit.
And that was so special.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it so much.
I know you do, all the effort and expense in that, and we had a great time yesterday, and they've had a good time with you. And so we just wanted to kind of review some of these fun experiences through the years.
Family is very important. Family provides the laughs and the tears and the and the learning. Raising a family, you learn a lot.
It is a school of learning.
And the kids are wonderful in that they allow us to learn. We don't start out perfect parents or have perfect wisdom.
Right.
And we make our mistakes, and the kids compensate for that, and the parents compensate for that, so that it's very good. Family is a very good thing. Stories on TV of broken families, of unhappy families, that's just not ours at all.
Family is
We
very
disagreed, and we didn't have the same opinion, but we didn't hurt each other.
Well, Mom, if we was to sum this all up, I guess as a family, as many as we could get here at one time,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we would all say that we were as blessed as you were.
Oh,
We had a wonderful dad. Stubborn one, but a good one. A wonderful mother. Couldn't ask for a better one. You've given us joy, happiness. You instilled in us the values that most children don't get. Paul, Larry, Zorn, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren that know you, and hope someday you'll get to see some of your younger ones. If not, they'll have all these memories in one shape, form, or fashion. But as me, for all of us, you could not be more loved, more cherished, whether we're here in Indianapolis or in Texas. Our
Yeah.
love is from there to here.
yes,
And our hearts are filled with love for you.
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is true, and that makes me feel good. Love of family, you can't ask for anything any better than that.
Good. Well, we wanted to get some of this recorded, and it is now, so.
What was the whole song, Grandma?
I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, and a barrel and a heap, and I'm talking in my sleep about you, about you.
She heard.
I love you, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, Hook around the neck and a barrel and a heap. A barrel and a heap, and I'm talking in my sleep about you, about you. I love you, a bushel and a peck. You bet your pretty neck I do. Doodle doodle doodle,